Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Stuff Face Podcast channel, the channel where we eat food and talk about stuff you probably don't give a shit about. And this is gonna be an update video in a way. It's gonna be not an update video, but an explanation video on why we haven't made podcast episodes or done any live streams of podcasts. And there are mainly three reasons why we haven't done an official podcast episode on YouTube. And that's what I'm gonna get into today. So the first reason why there hasn't been a single podcast episode is because of scheduling. Most times we want to do a podcast episode, we either don't have the time to do it or we're busy doing other things. Like for example, I recently got a new job and because of that new job, I get tired a lot more often than I already am. And with Andrew also having a job and being out much later than pretty much me at this point at my new job, it's a lot harder for us to do podcast episodes and stuff like that. You guys probably wondering, well, why don't you guys just do episodes of podcasts on your days off? Well, firstly, we don't know when our days are off, dude. We don't like it's pretty much mix and match because we're not always gonna have these same exact days off. It's completely random, or at least to me, at least. So we don't know when our days off are, and well, I'll put this in more appropriate phrasing. We like sometimes our days off are just random, and we just don't know when we can. And even when it is our days off, we usually just do our own thing and never think about the podcast or even the channel till like late at night when we're both tired. So all in all, we just can't really do podcast episodes because of it. We either distract ourselves or works distract us from doing podcast episodes. Another reason why we haven't done a podcast episode, technically our first podcast episode, is we're still debating on whether or not we want to do Twitch or YouTube. Even though we have a little bit of a following on YouTube, we originally started our podcast on Twitch, but we still are undeciding on whether or not we want to move to YouTube or stay on Twitch. I have a suggestion that we could use the Twitch channel for gaming and the YouTube channel for the official podcast, but that also entails that we cut out gaming altogether on the channel, or gaming is just kind of like for a series and never a live stream, which is not something I want, but that's that's whatever, right? We are still in debate, which is actually where you guys come in and settle this debate. We want you guys to let us know. There's going to be a poll link in the description where you guys can vote on whether or not you want us to be on YouTube or just stay on Twitch. And yeah, we want your guys' feedback. We want you guys to let us know, should we come to YouTube or should we stay on Twitch? And the third reason why we haven't done a single podcast episode, it's the most important reason, I feel like, out of all the reasons here, those are more important, but this one's also pretty important as well. The third reason is that to save the world and the things going on in the world and stuff like that, we do not want politics on our podcast and stuff like that. And I understand the situation going on with Ukraine and Russia at the moment, and to be honest, I don't want to talk about it. I'm talking about it now just so I can say I don't want to talk about a podcast. We're a podcast where we talk about the most random shit ever, and we just don't want politics to interfere with our podcast. We don't want it to interfere with other topics, nor do we want that kind of attention. Listen, politics is a very touchy subject that I never want to go into ever. It is a rabbit hole that is just not worth it at all, in my opinion. And you may think that, well, we could just do like a one-off thing on politics. No, I don't feel comfortable talking about politics. I don't feel comfortable at all about that. Neither does Andrew at this point. We don't want to talk about it because we're not that type of podcast. We're not the type of content creators to talk about politics and stuff like that. Even if it's a quote unquote right thing to, even if everyone agrees, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about Ukraine, no Russia, no nothing. We're a podcast that want to make people happy, and even for a few minutes, we want to entertain people. We don't want to talk about politics because it's a touchy subject, like I said. And I mean, if our podcast was built on politics, then maybe, but we're an entertainment first podcast, meaning we don't talk about Ukraine, no Russian, no politics, no right versus left. This is my right. No right versus left shit. No, nothing. We don't want to talk about anything. We just want to talk about entertainment, video games, and stuff like that. Okay, nerd shit essentially. And we just feel like politics was just getting in the way, and will bring the type of attention we don't want. We don't want that type of attention. Sure, there are other YouTubers and streamers like Destiny and Casey Neistat who brought up politics in the past, or is their entire career is based on politics, but that's just no, absolutely not. I don't even topics that should not be political at all. We don't want to talk about. That's just it, really. We don't want to talk about, and politics is just not going to be one of our main topics. Usually, it will be the hottest and trendiest thing: music, gaming news, stuff, shit like that, right? But never politics. And if you talk about anything political, then leave. You know, if you want a discussion about politics, then find another podcast. We're not that type of podcast. But yeah, I think I covered all my bases as to why we haven't done a podcast episode yet. We might do one soon. I keep on saying that, but we might do one soon. I don't know when. We don't know the day nor the time. But I will let you know on Twitter and on Instagram when we do our first podcast episode on YouTube or on Twitch. You guys will decide. But yeah, I guess that's going to be the end of the video. If you guys did, and if you guys enjoyed the video, leave a like. And yeah, that's pretty much about it, guys. See ya.